If you've ever said, I know I shouldn't eat this, but you know that's diet culture talking. Diet culture is really keeping us stuck. It's not really healthy or helpful for that matter. Often, when I'm going through the details of like diet, because in order to get a good idea about diet, I always have to ask, kind of like a recall of what you ate over the last 24 hours, or sometimes I get like people to share like a 3-day. But invariably, every single time, people will say, they tell me what they ate. And it's no judgment. It's just so that I can help, make an assessment to see, how the diet that they consume affects what their goals are, and things that I can recommend to change to kind of help reach the goals better. So it's not about judging. But invariably, somebody will say, oh, well, I know I shouldn't have this, or yeah, this was a cheat, meal, but I don't normally eat this. And it's this pervasive thing that we have in our society, that we shouldn't be having certain foods, or certain foods are bad, or cheat foods, or we have to feel guilty about it. And that is probably a big portion of our problem with this diet culture that we have, that we're always on and off diets. I feel like no foods are off limits. Like if you want to have a piece of pizza, have a piece of pizza. It's the dietary pattern overall, right, that has the biggest effect. But you shouldn't feel guilty. You should enjoy your food. That joy is so important. When we go through our lives feeling like, oh, I did something wrong, or God, I shouldn't be doing this all the time, it is not only like a mental burden, but it just makes you feel bad. And then it sets you up for failure. Like you shouldn't, I don't think you should feel that way. I personally think all foods are good foods. Like today, the example was rice. I tried to switch to whatever, brown rice, but I really like basmati. But you know what? I feel like jasmine rice. I don't think there's anything wrong with rice or pasta or bread. These are staples of most cultures around the world. And I don't think that we should feel guilty about consuming these things, nor do I feel that you should feel bad about eating a pastry or an Oreo cookie or whatever it is that you like to eat. I do think that we need to focus more on the foods that are nourishing. So when you're planning a meal, when you're going grocery shopping, more time should be spent filling your cart and filling your home with foods that are nourishing. So that's a whole nother discussion, about setting your environment up for success. But because I don't necessarily think that though those foods are fine to be part of your diet, they shouldn't be the primary thing you consume, right? That just makes sense. But there's nothing wrong with consuming them. So those are my thoughts. Love to hear your thoughts. And in fact, I have a course on this. It's a little mini program. It's a 5-day reset. It's called the Joyful Eating Reset. And it's all about, changing your relationship with food. And, I think that the focus should be on joy, really. And so much guilt around foods that we grew up with, or that somehow have been labeled, bad for us. And so that's the goal of the reset, is really just like a reset, give you like a different perspective, a different way to look at food, maybe enjoy your food a little more. If you want to check it out, click the link in my bio. It's really cheap right now, actually. And it's lessons, and it's journaling, and it's some recipes, and other tips and guides in there. So it's pretty jam-packed. I think it's pretty worthwhile. I would love to know your thoughts, so check it out.